Well, welcome to another edition of Cambridge Inside Out.
Yes.
I'm Robert Winners.
Judy Nathans, February 5th.
2019.
2019, another win under
Actually,
the belt.
it's been funny, kind of, a lot of funny commentary. I think it was Josh Canner, who's the organist for the Boston Red Sox.
Wow.
And Josh, he puts up on Twitter. We go back and forth a lot.
Yeah.
Well, I know he plays organ with my friend's band sometimes.
Oh, okay, so you
Yeah,
know him.
great
You're
guy,
a Twitter
actually.
friend, or you know him?
Yeah. But he said
Yeah.
they said the 14-week championship drought is over.
Yeah, right. Unbelievable. So now everyone's going to look towards the Celtics to make it a... That happened in 2007 and 8.
What about the Bruins? How are they doing?
They did... Do you remember the year, though, that it was the Red Sox, and then the Pats, and then the Celtics.
Right. You can do it in multiple ways because, as long as it's within a 12-month period, right?
It was 3 out of 4.
Yeah. So that was pretty good. So, I don't know. We're
Who knows?
2 down.
We're batting 2 out of 4.
Yeah. The thing I worry about sometimes is that, unlike how it used to be where we say, oh my God, the Red Sox are never going to win. Oh, how sad, how sad, how sad.
Yeah.
And, and the Patriots once upon a time too, it's sort of like, nah, they're not going to win.
Through the 80s.
But now we have kind of almost like a sense of like,
entitlement.
We're expecting the championship.
That's why they hate us. Yeah.
That's why they hate us. Yeah, I think it's true.
I don't know.
Actually, one thing, not to obsess on football, because I'm not really that big a football fan.
I'm not either, and I still don't forgive Kraft for all his Trump stuff. But talent is talent.
Talent is
talent.
talent.
And coaching is coaching. And I do not like Belichick, but you have to give it to him.
Some
Knows how
people
to
were
run a
saying
game.
when the game was over, in the commentary afterwards, says, well, it wasn't pretty, but we're Super Bowl champions.
Yeah.
If I'm Bill Belichick, who I believe before he came to the Patriots was a defensive coordinator, I think he probably thought that was a great game because the defense was awesome.
On both sides, yeah.
On both sides.
It's kind of like when you have a low-scoring baseball game, people because it's a pitcher's game.
Yeah.
Give him credit for that.
So from Bill Belichick's point of view, he probably thought this was the greatest war.
But I am so glad they had that fourth quarter. Did you watch it?
I actually skipped out for a part of the middle of the game, and then I came back in the fourth quarter. The middle game is good,
yeah. The fourth quarter is where they tied up 3-3.
Yep. Yep. So anyway, it was pretty cool. And I think, and of course, today was the parade.
Yeah, 65 degrees. I mean, who would, it was like, -5 last week?
Well, it's because we're entitled.
I know, we are.
Well,
and tomorrow we'll go back to normal. It's going to get,
right?
it's just amazing.
And I think, was it yesterday, or was it today? I think it was yesterday, was Truck Day.
No, that I don't. Truck Day for who?
Red Sox.
Oh, you mean go to...
load up the truck with the equipment.
Really? It was yesterday on a
If it
Sunday?
Maybe it wasn't...
I don't think it'd be around the parade day, would it?
Well, they weren't counting on the
that's a
championship.
good point. So maybe...
But I believe they actually...
Yeah?
They carted up all the equipment and headed to Florida. Yeah.
Okay, for spring training.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm kind of looking forward to it.
I am too.
And as you know, I have cable TV now.
I know.
So I can watch Red Sox games for the first time in gosh,
you can watch Red Sox game.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I'm like a newfound cable TV guy. I'm like watching.
Next thing we know, he's going to have a cell phone, even if it's a flip phone. Well, don't say it won't, because it really isn't. To me, it's like learning to drive a car or having. You don't necessarily have to own a car, but it's a good skill.
I didn't drive till I was 27.
Well, you barely drive now, so let's put
That's true. I'm kind of working my way back to 27.
When you have what? How old is your bus?
40.
What?
My bus
is... but what year is it? I can't count.
1979.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. So.
All right.
Actually, I was joking about that today. There was a committee meeting, an ordinance committee, and they were talking about accessory dwelling units, and people said, "Well, what's the lowest amount of square foot that's legal for a dwelling unit?"
What is it?
And they said it's 120 square feet. And I said, my VW bus is less than that.
There you go. Well, I hate
but it doesn't have a bathroom.
On a sadder note, I mean, people do live in their cars.
That's true.
Anyway, I don't want to get into that.
Yeah.
It makes me teary. All right, so parade trucks. Let's.
Oh yeah, it was cool. So, not that there's a whole lot to say about it, but we did have a council meeting yesterday.
Pretty short.
It was
like gone over by 7:45, wasn't it?
It was in that
8 o'clock.
neck of the
It was
woods.
not over by 8. Yeah.
Yeah. And not
public
really,
comment. Public comment was over by 6.
Yeah, not a ton of controversy. There were a few things that
you can only tell by the public
edge.
comment. if the public comments an hour or more, there's something
There's
on the
something,
agenda.
something big
Either
happening,
trees,
right?
bikes, or
Yeah.
something.
So on the tree thing, I don't think there's much progress or anything to say, but the thing is
There
there
is
is
going to be a meeting.
February 14th.
Yeah,
is
Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day is set, they're having
Yes.
an ordinance committee
At
meeting.
5:30, I believe, right?
I
Yeah,
think that's
usually,
right, yeah. You know, just sort of, you know, give a fair hearing to the
To the whole moratorium
concept of the
aspect of it.
moratorium, which is different than what was originally talked about. And
Right.
I don't know, I'm starting to feel a little optimistic that there actually will be a few open minds about talking about reasonable accommodation for reasonable people, which is all
Yeah,
I
it'll
ever
probably
asked for.
bring out the same group of people that came out.
Yes.
last
Oh,
week.
yeah.
It might bring out a few, there weren't that many people in not opposition, but were there at the last one?
Not really.
But
not
maybe
really.
now that it's getting more publicized, people will come out,
Yeah.
and, you know.
I mean, the thing is that what was being proposed was not something that would necessarily have, you know, caused people any great alarm. But when the idea of a moratorium was subsequently introduced, that caused at least
And then
some
if you
concern.
violated it, it was the cost to the homeowner. And specifically, people were talking about small property owners, not large,
Right.
because there's other mechanisms to go after people that don't get the
You know-
big commercial properties.
You know, I actually found it a little confusing because the existing ordinance actually has things like $300 a day fines penciled already in.
But is
So,
it for personal, not on personal property though? Isn't that more towards commercial development or
you know, I
certain,
think it's a matter
square
of
footage?
how it's been enforced or how it's been interpreted, and
Well, I'd have to
whether
look at, I don't know. It's just-
and to what degree the Public Works Department, who I believe were the agent that had to deal with it,
Enforcers, yeah.
how much flexibility they had. And so, in other words, if somebody says, "Well, here's my situation," and you make a reasonable case, they could say, "Yeah, go ahead. You know, you won't be subject to the
Well,
fine."
are you saying that under the existing ordinance, if you yourself did not take the tree down, you would have to get a permit?
I think that's.
I mean, do
right.
you have to get a permit anyway, even if you take it down yourself? That's not clear.
I think it's.
Not on your own property. I know people that have
Yeah.
done this, so.
No, I know
any
people have done it. But
consequence.
you know, but the thing is, there are. Listen, there was back in the late '90s or early aughts. I think there was a provision in the zoning that said you couldn't pave over your yard. You know, the only.
Oh, they must have gotten rid of that, because
No,
I
no,
know
no.
people have done that.
It's in the books. But
What?
that's my point. The thing
Oh.
is that so if you were to pave over your yard or a big piece of your yard because you wanted to park
Driveway,
vehicles,
yeah.
let's say,
Yeah.
you could do it, but you had to put in what they call a friable surface.
What's
In other words,
friable
if you
mean?
laid bricks so that the water could percolate through.
Well, I don't know, my
So-
daughter went to City Hall to complain about something that was done to that behind her. I won't name where the street is, and they said they can do that. So maybe they did get that permit, I
You
don't
can do
know.
friable surfaces.
Well,
Yeah.
what does
I
it
love
look
the
like?
term,
It looked like just plain asphalt to me.
You know, they say in theory that there are paving materials which are water permeable. I've been a little skeptical about that myself. But if they certify it and say it meets the letter of the law,
I
then it
don't
would be
know.
called
The
friable.
bigger issue was that they took down these trees, maybe all along the barrier between
well-
that property. So that plus the paving really made
Yeah,
it.
I mean, the thing is city can pass all the laws at once, but you know,
It's
like
enforcement.
I remember when
Yeah.
they passed the law about, you know, you couldn't pave over with asphalt your yard. And then within a year of that, a place on Broadway, that's what I saw. It was they just asphalted right up to the trees. And I said, I don't know how long those trees are going to live.
But what if a neighbor had reported it
You know, a lot of times the neighbor doesn't know what the law says.
or
But if
doesn't
the
want
neighbor
to make bad
was,
neighbor?
or might not
Yeah.
want to make
I
an
think
enemy
that's
of
more
the
the
neighbor.
issue,
I
yeah.
think that's often the issue.
Yes, it is.
But
Yeah.
I think somebody was commenting about how these couple of pine trees on Broadway have died recently, and I said, yeah, those were the trees that I was concerned about,
Wow,
actually.
interesting.
And this was actually
Okay.
15 years ago when they did the paving over,
Wow.
you know, so.
Well, I like Craig Kelly's, I don't know, late report thing that was in the, the agenda. last
Oh, yeah,
night.
yeah, so,
I
yeah.
read that with all the pictures of, is this a tree? Could this be? I
Well,
just thought it was helpful because,
It's,
you know.
I thought it was incredibly
Yeah,
helpful. You know, I mean, I know some people were very critical of it, and I thought, why are you being critical? He's actually asking reasonable questions.
He's pointing out things that, you know, someone might want, gee, this is unsightly. There was one that was like spread out. It was short, but it was still considered a tree, and it was that 8 inch, is that the
you could have a tree that basically is that wide around at
well, that's
breast
a lot
height,
more than 8 inches.
and then it just turns
8
into
inches
nothingness.
is only what?
Yeah.
What would that be? A 4 inch diameter? An 8 inch? You're the math guy. Come on,
No,
What's 8 inches?
No, it's actually 8 inch diameter at breast height.
Oh, diameter. So that's
DBH. Yeah.
Oh, so that is pretty big.
Yeah. So that's 25.
But they could still be a shrub.
Around. Yeah, and that could be considered a shrub. So then technically you could cut it down because
and
it's
most
not a
people
tree.
wouldn't
You wouldn't
hire
know
an
the
arborist to do
difference,
that if you're somewhat, you know,
Yeah,
get a
yeah.
saw and do it.
You know, the thing is, they're going to pass something, and
It's gotta be
you know,
reasonable.
And I just want reasonable accommodation. But you know, the thing is, in many respects, I think and maybe when this tree canopy task force comes back, they'll have a much better way of looking at these things.
Yeah.
But you know, the point is people shouldn't be worrying so much about this one tree or these two trees
I know,
here and there.
it's more
The
like
thing
the
is that,
development as
you
a
know,
whole and what,
So you know, you had a certain canopy decades ago.
Things change.
It's hitting a minimum now for a number of reasons, some of which
But
include
is it
just,
drastic reduction? What was it, 10%?
you know,
12%?
depends on who you talk to. But the point is, whether even if it is or isn't, the idea here should be like, okay, take that as a given.
Yeah.
And what are the policies you want to enact from now moving
To
forward
keep that,
to replenish the
Right.
trees in the city or other forms of that, you know.
Can there be other
address-
vegetation that addresses climate change and all that,
Yeah.
or heat
Right. So
cooling?
that's
you know?
what I'm more interested
Yeah.
in, not so much sort of like,
How about
you know,
ivy?
for example.
I don't
They have these like growing living walls
Ivy all
and
over the
whatever.
wall.
Yeah. Yeah.
Seriously.
You know, so I'm much more interested in.
I'm not trying to make a joke of this either.
No,
'cause
I'm
it's
much
not,
more
but
interested
yeah.
in what's
What
your
are the real
long-term
solutions?
plan
That's-
for the next 50 years.
Right, not
In
right.
terms of incrementally having an increase in tree cover where appropriate from now on. You know, because remember, sometimes it may not be appropriate. For example, if you want to have solar panels, you don't necessarily want to have tree cover where the solar panels are
Wow,
going.
I never thought of that.
So
Is
there's
that
a
then a
contradiction.
Oh.
Yeah. So the thing is how you're going to have to balance this and think it through. So in places where you're not going to have solar panels, then maybe you want to have it, but
Well, they'd probably get
Yeah.
permission to do it because that would be considered a benefit to to the homeowner, not to the city, to
Right.
have their solar panel. But that's never even been
right.
brought up. That's
But
interesting.
certainly during the moratorium period, you would not
Yeah.
have any flexibility at all.
No,
Right.
yes, you do. It says it right there. It says unless it's dangerous, an
Dead,
emergency.
the trees would
well,
be dead, diseased, or dangerous.
But maybe they'd have to
But
add that, or if you're putting in solar panels.
Or if you're putting in solar panels.
Hey,
right.
you heard it
Or
right
if you're-
here,
or if you're-
Mr. Environment.
No, well, I mean,
No, seriously.
we're obsessing on trees again, but I have to say,
I want to see if someone
You know,
actually watches this.
the
is gonna bring that up.
the point I've made, I'll say it one last time, which
Yeah.
is that what if you're in a situation like me where you have a tree which may be dangerous because it leads
I
heavily
know
towards your
someone like
house,
that,
and
but you really don't want to take it down.
Which may be diseased because it's an
Yeah.
ash tree, and
Yeah.
the emerald ash borer is going to kill every ash tree pretty soon anyway,
Oh,
I'm sure.
yeah. So,
Right?
so then take it down.
But it's not dead, but I can point to every single leader and show multiple places where branches have fallen off.
But then
so-
you fall into that. Then you
No,
would be able
because
to
it's not
why?
dead, it's not necessarily diseased,
No,
and
it's
it's
in
not
danger.
necessarily dangerous.
Well, no, that's not true.
Right, so all I wanted was to say, look, I think I can make a pretty strong case. And by the way, I don't necessarily want to take my tree down,
All
but
right.
I want to have that option.
All right, I know
Yeah.
someone in exactly the same situation. They know it's eventually probably going to fall on the neighbor's
Yeah.
property. Is the city going to pay for the destruction if he chooses not to cut it down?
Well, that's
which
an
he could?
issue. That's
well,
an issue.
So
So
same
there are
thing.
definitely
'Cause
issues.
he's
right?
all for keeping
So anyway,
trees up.
so
All right.
February 14th, they're going to have
Yeah,
a hearing,
that's a
and
week from
maybe
this
they'll come up
Thursday.
with some reasonable.
And that will be
Ideas,
It should be televised. It's an ordinance.
It is going to be televised.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
All right. So anyway, so there you go. Now, something that's actually just tiny bit related. So another item that was on the agenda for the council meeting has to do with a Eversource facility that they want to build on Fulkerson Street.
Now, was that application to petitions, or was that a city manager agenda? Where did that fall?
No, it's actually showed
I
there was a
just-
city council order that basically was asking the city to investigate and look into, how much trouble this is going to cost,
Oh,
cause
okay.
in
It
terms
was
of
a city council
infrastructure.
order?
Is there really
Oh,
a
right.
need to
Order
have
3,
this,
right,
et
yeah.
cetera, okay?
Yeah.
Basically, there are some East Cambridge neighbors
Right.
who aren't thrilled.
Yeah, because
they're actually
Toomey, Siddiqui, McGovern, and Mallon, so it was an
Right.
interesting, yeah.
Okay, so, and they were bringing up various arguments about potential health hazards and whatever, but I think, and personally I find that specious, but
Well, personally, because that it's,
as I've been pointing out to people,
Yeah.
the thing is that if you don't know it, there are actually huge high voltage lines crisscrossing the city under major thoroughfares. They're actually, a tremendous amount of power. It actually kicks off a lot of heat because of it. They actually have liquid oil running through the pipes just to take the heat away, and they dissipate it. But so the thing is that those are actually happening right through the city right now. So if there's a concern about electromagnetic fields, like people worry about those big high tension lines
yeah.
that crisscross the country, and say you don't want to live near those because there's all these health risks, right?
Yeah.
Well, we've got those same lines. It's
But
just
maybe
they're
it's
under the
because
street.
it's buried, it's different.
No, electromagnetic fields
Can
are
come up through the,
Oh, they're going right through.
oh, you're scaring
So-
people, Robert.
No, but the point is,
No, I know.
don't think it's anything to be fearful about.
No, I mean, it's
I
the
think
price
the-
you pay to have energy.
One of the
at some
real
level,
concerns
but-
I think some people have is that they're saying all this electrical infrastructure is being done, they
Because
say,
of the big
because of all the development
development
in
in
Kendall
Kendall,
Square. And that may be true.
Yeah.
It very well may be true. And so they're saying, well, if you really need to do it, then why aren't you building it like on the Volpe site? Why aren't you building it down where the Constellation Center is down in, in Kendall, in the heart of Kendall Square? I mean, why? I mean, there's already
Why did
gas.
they buy that particular piece of property?
why
For
aren't they-
$13 million, by the way.
Yeah, some people have pointed
Yeah.
out that there's actually available site when I forget the name of it. Is it Morant that runs the big power station that's down close to the Broad Canal, next to the Broad Canal? So why aren't they having electric infrastructure down there, right? So
what's the answer?
I don't know. I mean,
Oh.
but the point is, I think that the issue isn't. I think it's a bit of a deflection.
Maybe
when
this
people,
was a good deal for $13 million.
maybe
I
that's
don't
it,
know.
or maybe it's strategically located.
Because of, I don't know if substations have to have a certain
you
location
I
to
think it's
to
a factor.
distribute. Yeah.
It's certainly a factor. And people have pointed out there's actually a big substation up at Alewife,
Okay,
right
where's-
next to where
oh.
they're building this new housing up on Whaler Street. So
Sort of to the left of Fresh Pond Park?
on the
Or-
opposite, across the parkway
Yeah.
from where the mall is, the Fresh Pond Mall.
I see wires all over that place.
Yeah,
every time
well,
I
that's
go
what
there.
that's
What
what-
is
that's
that?
why that's
Oh.
big.
And there's like
big
all that
transformers,
houses,
yeah.
1,000 units of housing right here.
And my
isn't
biggest
there?
concern about being near those is sometimes they hum
They hum,
real loud
yeah.
or something. So I would not want that next to me. But
Look, between using cell phones, which people say,
I
mean, I know you don't
know,
use
I
one, but
know.
you know the radio. We're all exposed to all of this stuff, and
Yeah. So anyway,
And,
So anyway, I think so. But it was
what
actually
happened to that
council.
order? What?
Oh,
so
I-
it just,
no,
it
they-
just got passed on. It's going to be
They
commented on.
passed
Yeah.
it. So I mean, basically, it's just generating information, and I
Right.
think to whatever degree that information is available, and
Yes.
Eversource may already have the information they want.
Right.
I mean, Councilor Carlone seemed to think they would have that information already.
Yeah.
So you just ask them for it.
Mm-hmm.
But Councilor Zondervan actually pointed out something for those who were arguing that they haven't yet proven the need to have all this extra electrical infrastructure.
They haven't. Who hasn't?
Eversource. Do you really need to
Do
build
you walk
this?
down there to Kendall?
They
I'm
need
sorry.
it. Well, actually, Councilor Zondervan pointed out something that
Yeah.
said, you have a little bit of a conflict here, because if in fact, as part of the climate change discussion, you want to start transitioning away from fossil fuels,
True.
what that means is you are necessarily asking more and more people to have heat and other things all coming off of the electric grid. So the thing is, your future necessarily has to be much more reliant on your electrical infrastructure when you start eliminating things like natural gas and other things. So the thing is that if you're worried that there's that if you somehow have convinced yourself this is not necessary now, heck, it's going to sure be pretty necessary soon enough. if in fact you're going to transition away from fossil fuels. I mean, you can do a lot with energy efficiency.
Fossil fuels, oil is all right.
We're not talking just oil.
I know, but natural gas seems to be the big player now.
Right, but the thing is that, and you know, a lot of homes used to be heated on oil. We're all converted to natural gas.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And now everybody's saying, well, that's just a greenhouse gas, so we really want to be transitioning away from that in favor of other things.
But isn't it better than oil, natural gas?
Probably.
Oh, but then you have all the problems like
Yeah.
we had in Colombia. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, but then what's the next step then? All solar driven? Because that's
You know,
really
the thing
far
is
from
you-
there.
so
We're
you
using
get-
coal a lot too, people.
Right.
Don't forget
So
that.
the thing is, you would get
Yeah.
some electrical needs would be supplied locally, but in fact, there's no way you're heating a city just off of your solar panels
No.
for a lot of. I mean, some individual homes can, sure, but
Yeah,
you can't
unless you
really
completely
rely on it.
retrofitted
Yeah,
the whole. Yeah.
and there also are cloudy days, you know, and night, and
Well,
yeah,
but then
you
isn't the
use a
whole
lot
thing
of
about batteries and
Oh,
storage
yeah.
and all that?
But I think the point simply was that you can't simply push off the day that you need to upgrade your electrical
Oh no,
infrastructure.
and this is now.
And actually,
Right,
Councilor
yeah.
Carlone said something that really resonated with me, because he said, you know, when this whole Envision Cambridge thing kicked off
Oh,
3+
someone in public
years
comment
ago,
first said it.
right?
Did you hear that?
But the thing is
Steve
that
Kaiser.
Steve Kaiser, and I'm glad he did.
Yeah, where's the infrastructure part of Envision?
When we first started it,
Yeah, did you mention
because
it?
I'm on the advisory
Yeah.
committee, and even before it officially became Envision Cambridge,
Yeah,
you know, and when we talked about the climate resiliency, whatever, I
Right.
said, what about electrical infrastructure?
You
I think
said it, huh?
You bet I did. I don't think I was the only one, but I
Yeah.
was certainly really trying to emphasize it.
and what happened?
And I fully expected when we kicked into the Envision Cambridge thing that long-term planning would involve questions of infrastructure. I don't think that ever happened.
It's interesting. So what about municipal broadband? Did that ever come up in Envision in any committees? Because that's in some, I mean, even though I had.
If it happened, I didn't hear
Because
it.
that's part of infrastructure in some ways.
Yes, yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, so,
Yeah.
again, I don't want to be just beating
No,
up
but I
Envision
think
Cambridge
how
here.
we heat, how we,
Yeah.
that
There
our
are some
energy,
pretty
yeah.
essential missing pieces.
Absolutely. A lot of
Yeah.
it's very aspirational and not
Right.
very,
Well, if anything, I think that, you know, they kind of honed down to these sort of 5 or 6 topic areas in the Envision Cambridge process.
they listen to people, and I
And
guess
if,
the
you know,
people that showed up at
if
these
you weren't
things,
part
that's
of
what-
mobility, and if you
Yeah.
weren't part of urban
Housing.
form
Yeah.
or housing, which became very specifically subsidized
And
housing,
was there a specific climate environment one?
there was climate environment, and
And
actually,
what about work?
then there was like a economic development and
Economic
whatever, right?
development,
Which
yeah.
I suppose you could
You
have.
could have put that in
You
there.
could have put
Yeah.
infrastructure into either of those two, I
Yeah.
suppose.
Or environment.
But I didn't
yeah.
really see it.
Yeah,
you
well,
know,
we'll
honestly.
see.
So
That's
I'm
interesting.
going to call that a deficiency.
Yep.
I mean, honestly, I also would have expected under the category of mobility, there would have at least been some discussion of the road network as opposed to just bikes and whatever. And, you know,
Speaking of,
for example, you know,
right, that's on our list here.
oh, is it?
You don't have it?
Oh, about the 20 miles per hour?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
we don't agree on that, or maybe we do, but I
No,
actually,
I-
I have been driving very consciously around the city and checking my speeds, because when I'm going 20, I feel that that's comfortable, I could stop in time and not hit somebody.
All right, so there was a report back from the traffic department basically recommend, you know, and I think the city council will was to have 20 mile per hour.
Now, is that, would
more
they
the
have to
rule
go
than
to the state
exception.
to do
No,
that?
they do not.
They
But-
do
But the
not.
thing is, the way it worked under state law is that you could drop the citywide limit to 25.
Right.
And you could designate school zones and safe zones or
As-
special
I
zones
see.
to drop it to 20. So we already did it for all the major squares.
So we could actually do it for those streets they named
So then they
without
said-
doing anything.
Right, so they
Okay.
came back with a map, and it's a little funny to look at, quite honestly, because they
Right.
color coded and I think it was purple.
Purple, but if
All
then you
the
look at the
streets-
actual streets in alphabetical order,
Right, but it was actually
Yeah.
over 400 streets
Yeah.
designated as eligible for the
Yeah.
reduction. So it's basically most streets in this city. So, and I think there was some, this as part of the discussion, I think it was Councillor Zondervan suggested, I think he was spot on. He said, first off, could you just paint it in the roadway saying 20
Yeah.
mile per hour? They said, no.
Yeah. It
According to
has to be
state
signed.
law, it
Yeah,
has to be standard
posted signed.
signage. They said, well, can't you just sort of say, okay, the whole city's 20, except by exception,
Right, in other
where
words, opt
some
out,
are
opt in.
25.
Right, yeah,
And they
but
said,
no.
no, we don't have the authority to do that.
So
And
can,
I thought
well,
that was
why
a
can't we
silly.
get the authority to do that?
You could ask the state for it and
I
see
think
whether
we
they
should.
do.
Be a lot less clutter.
I completely agree. You know, to me, that
All speeds are unless otherwise noted.
yeah,
right?
You know, remember how you used to see those signs? You still see it in the rural areas. When you're entering a little village area, it says
Thickly settled. That was a question
Right.
for Hidden Brain or one of those shows
Yeah,
they do.
yeah.
It's like, what does that mean?
So thickly settled.
You know?
I know what it means.
You could do
yeah.
your own
I mean, a
show.
certain population density.
All right.
I'm sure there's a specific
So what
code
does it
of what it
mean?
means. But it just basically means that housing is a little denser than it is out in the rural. So it's basically when you're entering the village,
Yes.
it's thickly settled.
Watch
and
out for
it's
people.
not like urban necessarily. It's
So
just
there might
thickly
be
settled.
houses closer together.
Yeah, a little closer,
therefore,
right?
okay.
And then when you leave the little village and move
Yeah.
onto the connector road, then it's no longer thickly settled, but the speed limit would drop to 30. So it could be 55
so there was a
or
speed
45,
limit attached to
and
the
then
thickly
settled
settled.
meant 30-mile-per-hour limit.
30. Wow, that is fast.
And, well, relatively speaking, that's
I'm
fast,
sorry.
right? Yeah.
You try going 30. I've been going 20.
Well, they could
and
drop it,
25 feels
But
fast.
they
to me.
could, the individual city and town could drop it to
Okay.
25 now.
Well,
they have the authority to do
I
it.
think it's good 20 because most people go over the speed limit anyway. So now maybe it'll be closer.
So, maybe what they should do is I find the state legislature somewhat lacking at times,
Oh,
quite honestly.
tell me.
But, if you want to have a term called thickly settled, which basically warrants 30 mile per hour or 25 if you want to give them authority to do that, maybe you should have a new phrase called urban settled or something like that, or very thickly settled.
How about watch out?
Right.
Watch out. Bikes, pedestrians.
But if any, the fact of the matter is, Cambridge, you go down any block on any street on
Yeah.
any pole, and there's like 3 or 4 signs.
So you think
So
people
this will
aren't
just
going to
be
pay
more.
attention? Well,
No, I
maybe it
think
has to
they'll
be a
pay
special
attention.
new sign.
Yeah. Oh, it would have to be. But the thing
Oh,
it's like we don't have enough signs already.
I know.
Goodness.
That's why I think they should go for a petition.
I think they should have an omnibus
and then
bill
say,
on sign reduction, but
Yeah.
replace some with these ones. Maybe
Right.
how about that?
Okay.
Would that be fair? I would go
Maybe.
with that. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Anyway, so it was interesting, but it was interesting to see it was over 400 streets now have to be
Yeah.
signed this way. So anyway, back in a few minutes.
Okay.